Here's the other question that I got for you. Like, is why are nachos so expensive as an appetizer? Like, it's crazy, man. It's just tortilla chips, cheese. You guys in the United States, do you guys put olives on your nachos? That black olives is a very common Canadian nacho topping. Sometimes, some places. Okay, so it's not just us. I'm trying to think who we've never won with. I bet we've never won with Imelda. Let's take some Imelda. We haven't been on the library in a little bit. Why am I using my mouse to do anything? I forgot how quickly things start. All right, bad start, but you know what? That's fine. You know, give me a whip for sure on this level. Yes, we have a lot of olives. I thought it might just be a Canadian thing. I mean, if I'm being gross with you, again, you got to remember. I'll take a lightning ring. Oh, you got no sound, of course. Look at that, multitasking. Multitask drifting. You got to remember that I'm a little older than the average person watching this. Not everybody, but, you know, a little older than the average person watching this. My early adult years were pre-pandemic. So a lot of the things that I did back then that seem unsanitary now were merely a little gross in 2008. Nowadays, you'd be like, are you trying to get an infectious disease? But back then, it was just like, oh, you. But like, we used to go to trivia night at this bar on campus every Thursday. They were famous for their nachos, and by famous, I mean they sold them. And I think that their nachos, just agnostic of the quality of a restaurant, tend to be one of the best things on the menu. But, like, people have interesting preferences with nachos, right? Like, some people don't like, you know, certain vegetables, so they eat around them. Oh, my God, we're cruising already. So we used to, like, wait until people would leave. They would leave their platter of nachos with, like, all the vegetables that they didn't eat, and we would scoop them up. As soon as a table of 6 leaves, handful of black olives with some melted cheddar cheese holding them all together like some kind of abomination. Slop them up, man. Disgusting. I mean, I don't see how it's disgusting. They're just olives. Like, what, you like wasting food? What's the problem? Slop them up. Rat strats. Like, I've never worked in a commercial kitchen, right? But you're telling me that, like, if somebody only eats... Like, you make, let's say, like, half of a... Or you make a margherita pizza for somebody, okay? And then, when they leave, they still have half the pizza left, and the busser takes it into the kitchen. You're telling me that the chefs and the front of house never go like, hey, you guys want to, like, split the rest of this? Absolutely not. This is actually, like, a little bit insane to me. They don't. Never happens. Someone in chat, in all caps, just said, we absolutely eat it. I appreciate that. Because, like, I've seen, you know, everybody's, like, restaurants are, like, way grosser than you'd expect. Some of the stuff that goes on in restaurants, like, you would never eat there again if you knew what happened. And I'm like, what about eating a leftover slice of pizza? And people are like, are you crazy? A leftover slice of pizza? Are you insane? Somebody was eating that. Somebody put their hands around that, but probably didn't touch that individual slice. What the hell is wrong with you? Okay, hold on. One of these days, I'm going to remember this. What does Clover upgrade? Get cross. I sleep. Give me crown. Luck. Good answer, honestly. That's a good answer. That's a programmer answer. I appreciate that. It happens at our restaurant now and then. I'm glad to hear that you live in the real world. A lot of people here live in a fantasy world. Dude, if I was a chef, somebody ordered a 5-piece chicken tender meal and then sent it back with a tender, 100% chance I'm eating that tender. Give me the attract orb. I'm ready. 100% chance. Why wouldn't you just make your own? That's breakage for the restaurant. I mean, I'm not saying, like, you should stand your boss or whatever. I'm just saying, you know, this has already been pre-made. It's a victimless crime. Plus, it's ready to go. You don't have to cook another one. Free food, exactly. I will say, I wouldn't even... I'm genuinely... I'm not germophilic, but I'm definitely not germophobic, right? To some extent. Like, I mean, it's kind of funny, I guess. Maybe I would say I'm normal, but I guess, of course, you always seem normal to yourself. I never have an interest. I would try, like, if my wife was having a different drink than me and she was like, you should try this, 100% of the time I try. But if I was having dinner with, like, a friend and they said, hey, like, I got the stout, you got the IPA, can I try yours? I would be like, no, we don't, like, live together. Like, I'll take a French fry off of your plate, but I'm not gonna, like, drink from the glass after you drank from it. That being said, I'm not gonna say I've never done it, but also, one time when I was in Quebec City, I swear to God, I very rarely have seen impropriety in a restaurant, but one time when I was in Quebec City, I saw a waitress bring a platter of beers over to a table, and it wasn't like a, you know, a dive bar. It was like a restaurant. She brought a platter of beers over to a table, and she clearly didn't know what beer was which just by looking at it. I swear to God, she took a sip, and then was like, this one's the pale ale, and then gave it to the customer. And the customer didn't see, but me and my parents who were there were like, did she really just take a drink of the... She just, like, drank a little bit of their drink and then was like, oh, yeah. I don't want any of these. You upgrade garlic. You just make you go faster. Nobody cares. King Bible works with Spellbinder. Clock Lancet is how you kill Dracula. I don't know, man. Give me the Bible. Give me the Bible. The average King Bible enjoyer. Imagine admitting you wouldn't rip your boy's vape. I don't know if it's mask culture, but I feel like I saw a lot of men my age with beards vaping in the mid to late 2010s. And now I see a lot less. I feel like I feel like the vape culture has slightly diminished. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or if it's just the lens of culture has turned a little bit, but I will say there's sometimes you'll see a couple and they'll both be walking, they'll be holding hands, and then in their other hand they'll both have vapes. And for me, that's kind of a love story. That's kind of cute. But then occasionally, you'll see a couple, and they're holding hands, but then in the man's other hand, he has a vape, and he takes a hit off it like 3 times per block. And that's, like, the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. It makes me laugh so hard. And I mean, like, not in a, like, a too judgmental way, but in a way that I'm like, you know... She asked me, do you love me? I tell her only partly. I only love my bed and my vape. Girl, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, my cousin wears his on a chain around his neck so he doesn't lose it. That's funny as hell. That's so funny. I only see people vaping in the Walmart parking lot and on Twitch. We do have a lot of vapors on the website. I'm not anti-vape, by the way. I think many of my moral positions are essentially like, I don't care what you do as long as, like, I'm not there. You don't, you know, you vape in a closed airline cabin when we're at 30,000 feet or whatever. But, you know, I understand. I understand the vape. Especially if you use it as, like, a stepping stone to quit cigarettes. More power to you. Where I am a little bit more... You know, I don't know, suspect is if you're like 16 and you're in high school and you're not addicted to nicotine and you're like, you know what I'm gonna do is start vaping nicotine just because like it looks cool. I like that's sus to me. That is sus among us. Why are we so strong, by the way? I'm actually mad at how strong we are. Like there should be more enemies around us. Would you ever do a tier list? Pitchfork Media's best albums of 2009? I'm trying to think. What's on Pitchfork Media's best albums 2009? Is Beach House on that one? Or what is that album called? Is the album called Beach House? Is the album Real Love? Is the album called Norway? I can't recall. It's been a long time. 808s and Heartbreak? That was like a 2008, 2009. Yeah, maybe. Teen Dream is 2010. I got it confused with Katy Perry. That's a great album. Honestly, that would be like on my top albums of 2009. Even though it came out in 2010, it kind of transcends space and time. Animal Collective, Merryweather Post Pavilion. That's not a 2010 jam. I mean, that album is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Still bumping some of those tracks to this day. I mean, My Girls is a great song. Brother Sport's a great song. It's 2009. I guess that the Fall Be Kind EP is 2010 then. It's got some slappers on it as well. Ah, I forgot that. You're absolutely right. That's when Phoenix was popping off, right? That's when you couldn't go outside without hearing a hey, what is that? I know you need it. Yeah, absolutely. What about like some Hot Chip One Life Stand? Is that on there? Don't say Listomania sucks. I think Listomania is still pretty pog. Don't get me wrong. Post Nothing from Japan Droids. I mean, that's another one that has become in the semi-permanent rotation for me. Post Nothing is, I don't know, it's a constant question you ask yourself. Like, is that first album, Post Nothing, the best because it's raw? I mean, it's got some slappers. Young Heart Spark Fire is probably, you know, one of their biggest and best songs for sure. I'm in trouble. And there's some other stuff on there like Heart Sweats is, you know, there's some rawness to it. Wet Hair is a classic. I mean, there's lots of great stuff on there. Sovereignty is you know, another slapper for sure. But then there's that second album that I can't remember the name of, where they kind of became a little bit more like arena rocky. And you would think that that's like a sellout, but they did it in like a great way. That album's also a slapper. I've told this story before, but it's been a long, long time. Maybe like 5 years ago, our car got broken into. They stole like the SD card that had the, you know, map data on it and stuff like that. They stole a 2x2 Rubik's Cube that, like, I don't even know why it was in the car now that I think about it, but it, you know, sometimes your car just happens to like collect stuff. They left the Japan Droids album. Like, they left the CD just sitting, like, in the... It wasn't even in the CD player. They just left it, like, on the center console. I was, like, simultaneously violated and insulted. Like, it's a good album. Upgraded whip. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Maybe they already had it. It's possible. I do live in Vancouver. Now we're talking. But honestly, I'm not gonna... Every dark cloud has a silver lining, right? Even though it sucked that our car got broken into, they stole less than $50 worth of stuff. Big whoop. And then, on top of that, because we didn't have any navigation data for like so long after that, I feel like I kind of learned how to drive in the city just by memorizing, you know, major thoroughfares and the cardinal directions that they go in. And I feel like it just made me a better, it made me almost like a taxi driver for a little bit. I was like, oh, if you got... Previously, it was like, oh, I want to drive 1 block away. Let me put it into the nav. Now I'm like, oh, you want to go that way? Well, you could, if you're going east-west. Look, here's the deal. You could take Broadway, but you know Broadway, even though they say that there's no left turns between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m., you know people don't even read the signs. If you're in the left lane, you're going to get stuck, so you don't want to... Look, my personal take, I would put you on, like... Maybe I'd try to take West 4th, unless it's a weekend, because then the brunch crowd gets very, very... I mean, you can't park anywhere. If you're trying to go to, you know, somewhere between Fable and the Corduroy on a Sunday at like 1 p.m., best of luck to you. Maybe if you got an e-bike. Anyway, sorry. So anyway, sure, like, I don't know, maybe a tier list of Pitchfork Media's best albums of 2009 is incoming. I did, for probably like 1 year, all I listened to was a playlist of Pitchfork Media's best 100 songs of 2007. There's a lot of slappers on that. I mean, Lil Wayne, Upgrade You Freestyle, MIA, Paper Planes, LCD Sound System, All My Friends, and Someone Great, of course. Trying to think of what else was it. Guy Barato's Beautiful Life. What a beautiful life. What a beautiful life. Oh, International Players Anthem by the Underground Kings featuring Andre 3000 and Big Boy. One Thing by Amari. There was a lot of bangers on that one. There was a Beirut song on there. I can't remember. I mean, there's 100 songs on there. There was a lot. Paper Planes, a great song. Ended up being overplayed, but still a great song. Empty Tome Helps Magic Wand. That's necessary for us. Still played to this day. It's got to be one of the songs that is like most emblematic of like the late 2000s, right? Like if you were setting a movie in the late 2000s, it would definitely start, and then you would see like Point Grey Productions, because there's no doubt that it's going to be a Seth Rogen movie. And then you'd hear like dun 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 dun. I fly, and then there would be like a little kid riding a bicycle down like a Kitsilano street, and he's like 8 years old, but there's rap music playing in the background, and you're like, what? I fly like paper, get high like planes. And he's doing like the paper route, but he's really half-assing it. Like he's one of them like, you know, breaks a window, one of them knocks over a garden gnome, you know, one of them like hits a dog in the face or something like that, and you're like, whoa, this kid, he doesn't give a shit about anything, man. I feel like I've seen this movie. This might be the start of Good Boys. I can't recall. That's not upgraded yet. Is it? This is upgraded? That's not upgraded. You're upgraded. Okay. Write that down. Write that down. I feel like you would either do that, or you would do like either Kids or Time to Pretend by MGMT. Either of those would be like... You'd be like, this movie's set in 2009, man. No doubt about it. Yes, give me the crown. Perfect cold opener songs. I mean, the way Time to Pretend starts, it's a perfect starting movie song. I think it's too early for Pentagram. I'm just going to be honest with you. Let's work on this upgraded King Bible. Especially for a coming-of-age comedy. Yeah, like The Cable Guy. I don't want it yet. I don't want it yet, because if we can level up one more time, get Holy Bible, then this chest is guaranteed to have the evolved Holy Bible in it. No, one more level. I'll wait one more level. I don't care. I'm solving the damn game. Are you seeing the blend tech? No, I refuse. I refuse. I'm not picking it up yet. I'm waiting until we get a Holy Bible. I mean, Santa Bible. I mean... What's the Bible called? I can't recall. Knife upgrades, I know this. Knife upgrades with what? Bracer? What the heck? I know, I've had it like 20 times. My brain is not so good at storing new info right now. It's really good at recalling info that's in there. Oh, baby! Oops. Did I break it? NL, I just moved to Vancouver for university. Every time I see a bald person with glasses, I think that it's you. And I freak out a little bit. Well, it depends what university you're going to, quite frankly. If you're at UBC, you're not gonna see me in that area too much, because, like, I mean, UBC is like its own little enclave, right, on the west side. Like, there's no reason for somebody that doesn't go to UBC to be on the UBC campus, essentially. If you're at one of the other major universities in British or in Vancouver, there's a chance. There's a chance. Okay, I'm just trying to think of what we're doing here. Rune Tracer's good with the passives. Everything, we can't evolve anything else, right? So yeah, let's just take Rune Tracer. Keep going with the Spellbinder. I think the dream for us would be if we can get Pentagram after 20 minutes. I think we'd be sitting pretty. Post 20-minute Pentagram. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever even seen SFU, because it's on a mountain, right? Like, there's no reason for me to go up the mountain, except to get to the university, but there's no reason for me to go to the university, like, at all. Tome me? How about you, STFU? That was a good joke, honestly. I got offended for a second until I remembered what I was talking about. Then I was like, that's pretty good. It's a good joke. All I really know about SFU is that it's... So the school that I went to learn programming, after the first intro to programming class, like half the class dropped out and transferred to SFU. It was like, if you really wanted to make software engineering your job, and you were ambitious, they're like, screw this like night school stuff, I'm gonna become a full-time SFU student. So that was like the upgrade to the school that I learned programming at. And I know that it's a good school. I believe it's perhaps compared unfavorably to UBC, but UBC is like one of the top 3 institutions in Canada. So, I mean, that's like being like, oh, you know, you went to UCLA? Well, it's no Caltech. Yeah, but it's still like pretty great. At least you didn't go to Queens like me. Oh, man. I've already gotten the mask, don't worry. I don't want it. It's garbage. We don't know Canadian schools? Well, let's try to find the American analog for my alma mater, okay? So it was for, I don't know, like, it's been around forever, like, I don't know, 200 years, which is a lot by Canadian standards. And it's had a very, very good reputation until maybe like 15 years ago. It has now become known largely as like a party school for rich kids from Toronto to go to get away from their parents and binge drink for 4 years, but still get like a degree that's semi-prestigious, but certainly has fallen a lot in the rankings. I might as well get it, I guess. Turns out there's a lot of American schools that fit the bill. Arizona State? Isn't Arizona State... That's like the party school. I feel like the Canadian party school is like Western. We're not... Like, Queens isn't Western. I feel like our stereotype at Queens versus Western is that we're a little bit smarter and a lot less fun. So I'm not sure, like, we're ASU. Iowa State? Look, that just sounds like an insult to me. At least make it from one of the states that people know. Come on. At least Queens is near civilization. So, Kate's sister originally went to Queens for like her first year of university. Now, you keep in mind she's coming from Vancouver, so she came to Kingston, Ontario, a town with 1/20th the population, and then she transferred out after 1 year because there was nothing to do in the city. Which is kind of fair, like, I mean, relative to Vancouver, there's not as much going on in Kingston, and it gets cold as hell for like 6 months out of the year, but... Wasn't she there for the school? Yeah, but you know, your first year, you know, you got lots of time to, you know, explore. Whatever, man. I'm taking Lancet. I wanted Pentagram, but I'll take Lancet. Rutgers? That sounds good. Rutgers sounds good. I feel like Rutgers has many famous alumni and, like, a semi-decent sports program, but maybe is no longer holding its own. Is that fair? At least you didn't go to Guelph? Dude, I don't know, Guelph? I guess it has, at least at the time, it didn't have the same kind of reputation as Queens for academic excellence, but, like, when you're an undergrad, who cares? Like, I kind of feel like a biology degree from, you know, Harvard is basically the same as, like, a biology degree from ASU. But Guelph is such a cool city, man. Anytime I've been in Guelph, I've always had a fun time. Based. Wait, any Guelph viewers out there? I will be honest, though, I don't feel like I could put you on a map. Are you near London, Ontario? Are you within 1 hour of London, Ontario? Nope. Okay, good to know. I love being American, not knowing what you're talking about. That's just a simulation of what it's like for the rest of the world when, you know, people talk about America. Like, almost every podcast I listen to, when they introduce a guest, they spend, like, 5 minutes talking about, like, well, I'm a New Jersey guy, and he's a Philly guy, so I gotta ask you a question. Do you call it Italian ice or water ice? And then they're like, well, we really hope that Ben Simmons is gonna be gone next year. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Just tell me if Jerome Powell's gonna raise rates today. So I like giving the Americans a little bit of their own medicine, quite frankly. What the heck was that? I'm breathing fire. I've never seen that before. He got the NFT? What does that mean? New frickin' trinket? Oh, it's called NFT? The item is called the NFT. Well, it should turn me into like an ape then, in my opinion. Pog. So I don't know, at this point I'm just happy the frames are holding. Can we really not... I guess we have 3 evolved weapons. I'm not gonna cry about it. No, I don't read the patch notes. I love Vampire Survivors because, like, no matter what, the core experience of basically, like, you're at the mall on Christmas Eve is always the same. Water. Jay, New Jersey is so funny to me. I don't mean that in, like, a negative way. At all. But it's just like... You really call it water ice? Like, what does that mean? No, that's the... Oh, you call it Italian ice in Philly, or in New Jersey. Okay, that's fine. Do they just, like, freeze Perrier? Is that how that works? Is Perrier Italian? I don't know. San Pellegrino, maybe? Do you just freeze San Pellegrino? I'm just workshopping jokes here. But, like, so, look, I'm old and boring. I listen to, like, finance podcasts. Everybody on the finance podcast lives in, like, the northeastern part of the United States. They spend, like, the first 10 minutes of every single episode just, like, asking, you know, where's your favorite place to get a cheesesteak? Are you a Rita's man or are you a Geno's man? Well, I really like Geno's, but ever since they started using the sliced provolone instead of the brick provolone, and then, like, they just go off about it for, like, half an hour. Like, it's... I mean, it's just nice to hear people having fun conversations, I guess. I don't fast forward. I'm glad they're friends. I guess it would be the same, you know, if I did a podcast and there was another Queens alumnus on the podcast, or alumna, for that matter. I would be like, you know, what's your favorite Cambodian food in the city? You like Cambodiana? You like Phnom Penh? I used to be a Phnom Penh guy until Pat sold the restaurant. Then I started going to Pat's restaurant. But then, to be honest with you, I was sleeping on it. The service was not so good, but the food at Royal Angkor is also, like, that's fantastic. Pita Pit? Oh, man. Anyone here go to Queens recently? Is Submart on Princess Street near Albert still open? No, that's gone. Oh, man. The couple that ran it was so nice. Closed permanently? That place was pretty sick, man. How about, I don't know the rest. That's all I got. What Queens is this? Kingston, Ontario, baby. Oil fine, a bandriggin, can I know all the propaganda songs they caught us. What the hell is he talking about? Listen, okay? What do you want me to talk about? John Oliver's Last Night Tonight, Last Week Today, whatever the hell it's called? I don't think so. I just graduated from Queens Engineering, love Domino's. I'm going to be honest with you. Any pizza that I ate at Queens would have been pre-Domino's making their recipe better. I am familiar with its location, though. It's next to a bar called Rhea's that I went to one time with a few friends of mine, and it was like exclusively 50-year-olds inside of the bar. It's the most uncomfortable I've ever felt in my entire life at a bar, except there was also one time that we went to a bar called the Royal Tavern on Princess Street. And when we walked, it was like a Saturday when we walked in, there were like 2 people there, and they looked like the Hells Angels. My friend said, hey, do you guys have any drink specials? And the bartender said, sure, do you want something with an umbrella in it or a candy cane? And we said, you know what, have a nice night, and just walked out. Every, like, impulse in my body was like, we're going to be killed here. This is not for us, and this is their way of letting us know that, so goodbye. And I still think that's one of those, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow sliding door moments that might have actually, like, saved my life. Help. Help. Come on, Squall. How much HP do you have? Thank you, thank you. Ever heard of Barcadia on Princess Street? I've been to Barcadia once. I was back, maybe in like 2018. I went to Barcadia with my parents. Cool place. Barcade's pretty cool. I will say though, like, look, there's some barcades, like, I feel like the U.S. does it right, like Ground Control in Portland and stuff like that. I'm sure there's like lots of barcades in, you know, the East Coast and stuff as well, but and you know, the Bay Area. But I really felt like I was in like the Loeb Cola barcade when I was at Barcadia. I don't know if it was because they had recently opened, but like, instead of having like Area 51, they'd have like Alien Attack, and you're like, I've played like light gun shooters before, but I don't think I've ever seen like Alien Attack, and like didn't have like Miss Pac-Man or Pac-Man. It was like Pac-Man Jr., and you're like, Pac-Man Jr., Donkey Kong Jr. Math. I still had a good time though. Don't get me wrong. It's like you gotta get some of the premier arcade cabinets, I feel though. I did the Munsters pinball machine. I'm now just making things up, but Mavis Beacon Arcade. Yeah, Mavis Beacon Arcade. America's Army. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think I could die. Maybe not. Now that I'm standing still, I'm realizing I might be okay. As long as the Gorgon perishes. Just never let the party die. I'm saving the party, brother. Honestly, I haven't seen it in like 10 years. But I feel like the original Blues Brothers movie might be the best movie of all time. I'm trying to remember. I feel like it might be the greatest film ever released. Very true, so true. I had a friend in university who introduced me. I was already a snob, but he introduced me to like a lot of movies where I was like, I gotta let my snobbishness go because you're actually showing me some great stuff here. So I previously thought I would hate the Blues Brothers because like in the year 2001, before having seen the Blues Brothers, I watched Blues Brothers 2000 for whatever reason with my parents. And was like, this movie is like pure ass. Even as like a 12-year-old, I was like, why am I watching this? So I thought, like, even if the Blues Brothers is so much better, like, you know, what's so much better than like a 0 out of 10? Then he showed it to me, and I was like, wait a minute, this movie's, I see why they made 2,000 more. Goodbye. No, not goodbye! Great movie, though. I thought it was just like singing, but there's a lot of cool car chases as well. And then, you know, when you hear the songs out of context, you know, you're like, oh, well, that's kind of like a catchy song. When you hear them in context, you're like, these guys really know how to groove. Well, okay, that's fine. I took a floor chicken. We have $5,000? I think we're gonna live. Whoa, whoa, I was hitting 2 buttons at once. I was hitting the up button because I had used it to select the big gold bag. "45 seconds. I'm in danger. Dude, what the heck? We're at level 101? Those crowns actually paid dividends, man. It's crazy. 30 seconds. I think also, if we use the lancet properly, it's kind of hard to gauge it right now. We might be able to kite Dracula for a little bit. Honestly, just give me a floor chicken just in case. Apparently frozen enemies don't hurt you, so go out 3 seconds, man! Let's go! Dracula, you piece of shit. Okay. Oh, man. Well, I didn't shoot him right away, but I'm just glad I lived, man. That was scary. I can't believe it. Ruin Tracer was our best weapon. Oh, that's crazy, man. I will say also, I think we had like we had a bad loadout. We had 3 evolved weapons, which is awesome, but the rest of our stuff like was not that impressive. So I think we did a pretty good job there. I don't really care for movement speed, just to be honest with you. Get some area of effect, get some cooldown reduction. That sounds good to me. Refund power-ups, apply them optimally. First time on the stream, welcome. Slash marker.